7. And it shows you the answer, but just pretend like the answer is not there. So we have f of x equals negative x plus 6 and g of x equals f of x plus 3. So, and it wants the equation for g. So look at what's being done here. Is the number that's being added to f of x inside the parentheses or outside?
Inside.
So that means whenever it's inside, that you're going to replace the x with the parentheses basically. All right, when it's added to the inside of the parentheses, you're basically making that the new input. So g of x is f of x plus 3. So it's what f of x equals, which is negative x plus 6. But instead of writing x, I'm replacing it with that set of parentheses that I told you. And then writing down everything else. All right, so again, you see how I just replaced the x with the parentheses? That's all you're doing for these types of problems. And then to finish making your equation, you want your final answer to look like y equals mx plus b. Or in this case, g of x equals mx plus b. So how can I make these parentheses go away? Good. So we're distributing this -1 to both numbers. What's -1 times x? Good. And -1 times 3? Good. And then bring everything else down. Bring down the plus 6. We're almost done. It looks more like slope-intercept form, but we need to combine like terms. So the x doesn't have anything to combine with, so it's still negative x. But can we combine these constants? Yeah, so it's -3 plus 6. Positive 3. So put plus 3, and then that is our solution. And I know maybe the drop-down boxes were confusing to you, but tomorrow this question is pre-response. So all you're doing is if it's in the parentheses, take the parentheses and plug it into the other function, like how we did here. Questions about that? All right, any others from the test? Yes? Number 8? Okay. So then, all right, this one's a good one. So you'll see it again tomorrow. It'll just be a different graph. But suppose g of x equals f of x plus k. So this you should recognize from the 3-3 lesson about transformations. All right, when it's a number being added, this time outside the parentheses, then like this, you should recognize that it is going to be movement up or down. All right, so as soon as you see this formula, you know it's moving either up or it's moving down. The movement depends on the value of k. So if k is positive, you're moving up. K is negative, you're moving down. So we're looking for the value of k that would transform f into g. So first, figure out which one's f and which one's g. So like this line is f, this line is g. And the best way to like count the movement would be to look at your y-intercepts. So like here's the y-intercept for f, here's the y-intercept for g, and we're moving down from f to g, so k should be a negative number. And we're moving down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So k is -5. Questions about that? All right, so just count it. I think the y-intercept is a good place to count it. Any others from the test? Nope, everything else is super easy. Nothing else you want to review? Yes? Number 9. Okay, so 9 was a bonus, all right, because I don't even really know how to do it. Like, we don't normally teach that at this level. I had to still put it in the test because it's like a district test and it's like in the curriculum that we're trying out, but it's not something that we taught you. And if you happen to guess the correct answer, good for you, you got a bonus point. If you didn't get it right, it doesn't count against you. So just don't worry about number 9. You will not see it on your repeat. All right, questions? Any from the test? Yes? 6. Number 6. Okay, other good one. So, yes?
I go to the bathroom.
When Brian comes back. So assume Pablo works from 2:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. using the function f of x equals 10x plus 8 to model his pay per hour. How much would he earn? So they give you a formula to model his pay per hour. We have an input, which is x, and an output, which is f of x. So what's the input? Is it the pay or is it the hours? Hours. And then my output is the pay. Right? Because it's how many hours you work determines how much you get paid, not the other way around. Right? So I guess the hard part there is just figuring out what your input represents. Then it says from 2:30 to 7 p.m. But it's in hours for the input. So what is this in hours? 4.3 hours?
4.5.
4.5 hours. So like 4.5 hours. Half is 0.5. That's what you meant? All right. So then plug it into your equation. Again, it's 4.5 hours. So it should be plugged in for the x. So it's f of 4.5 equals 10 times 4.5 plus 8. The left side is just notation. It's not f times 4.5 or anything like that. Just showing you what the input is. The stuff on the right can be put in your calculators all at once even. 10 times 4.5 plus 8. Which when you do that, you get 53. That's why the right answer for that one was D. So again, the only hard part is just figuring out if you plug in 4.5 for the x or for the f of x, like the output. So it's hours, so it should be where the x is. Good there. Any questions about that? All right, what other ones from the test? I saw Elizabeth first. What did you say? 15. Okay, so this one's a good one. And luckily tomorrow, 15, not 15, it might be a different number tomorrow, but this same style question will also be multiple choice tomorrow. And in class, we taught you that to estimate trend lines, you pick 2 points that are on the line. So what I would have picked probably would have been here, like 115, and then maybe this point up here, like 440. But since I have multiple choice options, I can kind of narrow down the possibilities that way. So like look at your y-intercept, which would be right here. Does it look like it hits at 12? No, because it's under the 10, so definitely not 12. So it definitely can't be A. Does it look like it hits 15?
No.
Does it look like it hits 5?
No.
No, it's close, but like it's above a 5. Does it look like it would hit 8?
Yes.
So even just from that, I would probably gather that D is the best option. But to confirm it, I could do it like how we did it in class. So solve for M using your slope formula. which is here if you don't know it and you want to copy it down. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then if I use these points, which are on the line, not necessarily the scatter plot points, it's 40 minus 15 over 4 minus 1. What's 40 minus 15?
45.
Good, 4 minus 1. And then put that in your calculator. 25 divided by 3 is, I did it earlier, is 8.3. Which, so my m should be 8.3 or near that number, which is D. Does it have a slope of near 8.3? So that also confirms that D is my right answer. And you do get options tomorrow too, so you can use that method to narrow it down. Questions there on this one? All right, Nevaeh, which one did you have a question on? 4, number 4. So then number 4. All right, this one's a good one. This one is not multiple choice tomorrow. So you have to make the equation yourself, but we did do like 4 examples in the lesson. It's just that was like weeks ago and you might have forgotten. But Jack works after school. Each day he's paid a set amount plus an hourly wage. Look at the table, choose the linear function Jack can use to find his pay. So we have a table. And when we're talking about a linear function, it should be in this format. F of x equals mx plus b. Kind of like y equals mx plus b, but it's a function, so it's f of x. Either way, what 2 letters get replaced with numbers? M and B. So I need to solve for M and solve for B. So my slope and my y-intercept. The slope I can figure out first. So what's the formula for slope?
F equals x1 or y1.
So you can use the y2 minus y1 formula. Rise over run, I don't think you can use because there's no graph here. Which one did I say is good for the table? Or like the best one for the table? It was change in y divided by the change in x. I mean, you could do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, but I think this way you'll get the right answer most of the time. So between hours and pay, which one is x and which one is y?
X is hours.
And pay is. So then what's my change in y going from 18 to 23? And it's going up, so it's going to be a positive 5. So it's 5 over my change in x. What's my change in x from 1 to 1.5? Good. And again, it's positive because we're going up. So what's 5 divided by 0.5? 10. And then on the test, when I look at my answer options, for the computer test at least, I see that A is the only one that has the right slope. All right, but again, tomorrow, it's not multiple choice on this one. So how do you find the B? We know that M is 10, so I'll put that in there. Do I have an X and a Y that I can plug in?
Yes.
Where do I have them? From the table, right? It doesn't matter which one you pick. Pick whichever one you think is easier to use. Like 1 and 18. If I pick that one, 18 is Y, X is 1, and solve for B. So what's 10 times 1?
Why?
So I have 10 plus B equals 18. Well, how do I get rid of the 10? So subtract it from each side, and B equals 8. So and maybe on the computer test, you didn't really need to do that step, but tomorrow you do need to, because tomorrow it's not multiple choice for this problem. You have to find M and B. Questions about that? All right, Marcus, you had your hand up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
What number?
11.
All right, so number 11. So for the explicit and recursive formula questions tomorrow, they will be free response. You will not have options. But for this one, we have the cost of having one pizza delivered is $14. Each additional pizza costs $9 more. Choose the explicit formula to represent the situation. So explicit and recursive are like the only two formulas I provide you. And they've been on the whiteboard since we taught that lesson. So I'm just going to copy over the explicit formula. A sub n equals d n minus 1 plus a sub 1. Now, the n would normally get replaced with what? What does the n stand for? The nth term. So if it said like solve for the 100th term, then n would be 100. If it said solve for the 50th term, then n would be 50. Does it say that in this problem though?
No.
So then don't worry about putting in something for the n. Just leave the n's there. Can I put something in for d? What does d represent?
Cost.
Just like, don't tell me in relation to the word problem. Just tell me what the d is in the formula normally. It is your, it's your common difference. All right, d is for difference. It's your common difference. So in your sequences, because that's what this lesson was under, it is your number that it's changing by each time. So is it gonna be the one pizza delivered for $14, or is it the additional pizzas that cost $9 more? It is the additional pizza. Sorry, I keep trying to move that finger. Okay, so it's the additional pizzas which cost $9 more. So that goes where the D goes. Again, the n's can stay there. So it's n minus 1. But the a sub 1 can be replaced. What does the a sub 1 represent? Your first term in the sequence. Which if it was pizzas being delivered, what is my first term?
14.
14. If you order one pizza, it's $14, and then the rest are $9 more each time. So here's what I have for my answer so far. Does this match any of the answer options?
No.
It does not. It looks close to A, but it's supposed to be n minus 1, not n plus 1. So it can't be A, it can't be D either, because again, it's n plus 1 and it should be n minus 1. So now we're between B and C, which don't have parentheses in them. How do you think we can get rid of these parentheses?
Distribute.
Distribute. So what's 9 times n?
9n.
9n, 9 times -1?
Yeah.
-9, and then plus 14. So then a sub n equals 9n minus 9, 14. Combine like terms.
9 minus 14.
-9 plus 14 is
Or 5.
+5. So that matches what option? B. All right, on your test tomorrow though, it's free response for this question. So if you just stopped at this box, I will be perfectly happy with that answer. If you want to take time and distribute it, that's fine too.
You're correct. You're correct in this. The test, because they're on paper.
So tomorrow is a retake.
Yeah.
So tomorrow the retake, I grade by hand, so I can award partial credit.
Okay.
All right, questions about this one? Yes. Savannah? 19. Okay, so let me pull it up on Galileo. Let me pause this. In number 19, you are given a scatter plot and a trend line on it. And it says, using the trend line to estimate how long it will take to run 7 miles is an example of blank. It tells you the answer, just pretend the answer is not there. So look at where your data starts and where your data ends. So look at the picture. What X value does my data start at?
0.
So it starts at X equal to 0 and it ends at X equal to what?
5.
So almost 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, like somewhere before 5. So we'll say about 5. So then when it says to estimate how long it'll take to run 7 miles, so 7 miles goes with the X's down here. That's why I was looking at the X values for our data. Would you say that 7 is between 0 and 5 or outside 0 and 5? So it's outside the range of data, which goes with the extrapolation definition. All right, interpolation would be picking numbers within the range of data. So like if it's 0 to 5, it would be like 1, 2, 3, or 4. Does that make sense? So like inside the data is inter. Extra, like extrapolation, is outside the data. Does that make sense? And just like the last test, you guys do have a vocab section on your test. So review your vocab. Others from the test, anyone? Let me take a picture real quick. Yes, Savannah? 21. So 21, the table shows grade levels and heights of 6 students. Choose the correct item in each drop-down menu to complete the sentences. So the data shows a blank correlation. Your options were positive, negative, or no correlation. So we'll start with positive. If it's a positive correlation, that means that when X increases, what happens to the Y's? They also increase. Is that what's happening in this one?
Yes.
Yes, because X goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's increasing. Y goes 46, 48, 51, and all that, also increasing. So that's how we know it's positive. But just to kind of, just in case maybe you see a -1 on your test, negative would be when X increases, what happens to the Y? It decreases. That's why you get a negative slope. X increases and Y decreases. No correlation would be neither of those. Like it's kind of random. It goes up, it goes down. There's no like pattern. So that answers the type of correlation. For whether or not it can or cannot show causation, can I ever really show causation? No, not unless I'm like a scientist and I do like a bunch of studies over a long period of time to show that this cannot be caused by anything else, like the sun causing sunburns. All right, nothing else causes that, so there's causation there. But for this situation, like grades and height, it's not your grade that causes you to grow.
There's 6 grades.
It's not your grade that causes you to grow. It's your hormones that cause you to grow. But anyway, like, can there be a 6th grader that's shorter than a 4th grader?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why, again, there's not causation. Causation is really hard to prove. So when in doubt, probably just pick no to be on the safe side. Questions there? All right, any others? This will probably be our last one, but don't put away your purple papers because I still need to check the results. All right, any others from the test you wanted to go over? Number 12. Okay, so this one goes with the explicit one. Again, it will be open response tomorrow. But recursive formula, here's that formula. And again, this will be provided to you on the board. So just look at the board when you get to this one. But this is a formula. The only thing you have to replace is the D for common difference. What's my common difference in this one? 9. So D equals 9. And your A sub 1, which is, what's my first term in this situation? 14. Because the first pizza costs $14, and then each one after that is $9 more. So the one that matches that, definitely not B or C because they have the wrong first term. It is D. All right, so just plugging in for the common difference and the A sub 1. Again, tomorrow it's open response, so just make sure you write it like how it looks. All right, when I come by, just flip both sides of your purple paper for me so I can